Episode 81. It's been a while. What's it been, like 2 weeks since we podcasted?
It's been a hot second.
Yeah, it's been a minute. How long have we been doing this now? What does 81 translate
into weeks?
in
There's 52
time?
weeks in a year.
81 years.
We've done this for 81 years.
We've done one a year.
I know, it seems like a crazy number.
Well, we've missed some weeks here and there, but that's maybe like a year and a half.
Is that what it's been?
No, it's been. We started a long time ago.
Started before I got here.
I bet if you looked on YouTube, see
I
when
guess
the first
because
time,
I have a laptop, I can see when lightsaber
the first
episode
time,
was.
yeah, the first time
And for anyone that's only seen the first one, please go further than the first one. We were, a
that's
little
pretty
bit.
much the same from
That's
there.
not true.
Yep.
Whatever.
It's not much has
I don't
changed.
agree.
So if you didn't like the first one, you probably won't like the next 80 of them.
I just remember I was like, let me prepare. And you're like, you're not preparing anything. You sit down and speak. I was like, no.
Yeah, it's way worse when you prepare.
Oh, my gosh. Hold on. I'm pulling
It's
it
true.
up.
Yeah,
Froning.
That's true.
What do they call it? It's
You're
like
just a
free-flowing.
freestyler. That's-
It's rolling.
Okay.
That's the technical term.
Roll with it.
It's
Have you seen
it's
those-
a rolling format.
Oh, that makes sense.
We just get started and we roll with it.
Have you seen all those Yoda memes lately? They crack me up. That little baby
Baby
Yoda
Yoda?
is hilarious.
No.
You can put Baby
No.
Yoda on anything and it's comical.
Yeah.
haven't seen any of them.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay.
The Mandalorian's what she's talking about. But
Is that a Netflix show? I think I've seen.
Disney Plus.
Oh, it's a Disney Plus show.
It's a Star
I
Wars
haven't
thing.
seen that yet.
Okay. Isn't that like the Boba Fett character?
I think it's supposed to be his
Right.
son or something like that.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Star Wars people are going to be very angry with us, but
Okay.
2
I'm not
years
100%
ago, lightsabers
What date?
2017 coaches October
No kidding.
3rd on Halloween.
so a year and a half ago,
It says 2 years according to YouTube.
October 17.
18,
Oh
19,
yeah, it is 19.
20.
2.5
Yeah.
years ago. Wow.
That's crazy. Doesn't seem like that.
Oh my gosh, we look weird. Sorry. Anyway, moving on. How was the Sanctional, Rich? You just finished hosting your very first Sanctional.
I thought it was good. Some minor things back of house happened, but we had a couple like power issues and some Wi-Fi issues for the scoring, but Throwdowns did a great job of that.
What surprised you the most about all the preparation and everything after it was all done?
The cost of a live broadcast is not cheap. That was my biggest thing.
Wow. What do they associate that with? Did they ever explain, like, hey, it's because
people,
of, like...
you got to look at it. Takes a lot of manpower to do it. It takes a lot of equipment to do it. Transportation. It's a heavy undertaking, and I guess that was the one thing I didn't really realize how expensive that was to do and to put on a good show. I mean, we put on like a game or regionals or games quality broadcast, and so that's not cheap. And then so it was good. I thought there's definitely some things to grow on and critique and all that type of stuff. The hard part is when you're, for me, the biggest part that I had the biggest part in was programming. We had some aggressive time caps, but everybody, at least one person or a couple people, finished every single workout, so that's
What did
good.
Ben and Tia have to say, like, after the fact about how their bodies felt and stuff from your programming? Did you talk to them at all?
I haven't talked to them post, right after I talked to them, and they seemed to like it. But
They were still alive.
Yeah.
I thought people would be, like, not alive.
yeah, that wasn't. It was hard, but it was. I don't think it didn't trash the legs too much. I guess it didn't do the upper body. I thought it was a pretty decent balance of some stuff. I didn't. We've done way worse.
Yeah.
And way more aggressive things in training for sure.
You guys tested all those events too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Every single one of them were tested, and a couple of them were tested a couple of times to make sure. Some of them were changed. Some of them were changed and then changed back to the original. So yeah,
It was well thought out.
Yeah, tried to. Just maybe missed. That super short, high power output workout. We didn't really have one of those. But having to do the squat clean, 275, that's pretty high power output. So, that would be that's a miss on me. But I feel like still the athletes that were like Tola is probably your most powerful athlete in that field, and he won that workout. So I feel like we tested some power output there by having him do a 275 squat clean. So, and it was still, it was sub. He finished it right at 7 minutes, and the lunge one was right around that. So those were they're pretty good tests.
The only one that kind of surprised me was the squat cleans for the ladies, and I thought more would finish.
Yeah,
I thought
that
so
kind
too.
of surprised me a little bit.
Well, and that's kind of what you're trying to figure out here is like the depth of the field isn't the same as maybe a regional sometimes. So you have to test for those upper, the top 1%.
Yeah.
So you're going to have, quite a bit of a gap between, the 1%. If you're trying to program for your best athletes, sometimes,
As
the
it should
athletes,
be, right?
yeah, the athletes that are,
that's what
we're going to the CrossFit
I was
Games.
going to say, someone's going to the game.
And it shouldn't be, I mean, that's what Sanctional should be.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I shouldn't look at a workout and be like, oh, it's a complete toss-up because it's either so easy that everybody can do it. Like, I feel like sometimes in the open that's what happens, which you have to. You got so many, thousands of people trying to do the workout, so there has to be, entry-level type movements and stuff like that. And I guess it was Scott said it, and he was like, it's pretty cool that we tested in every single workout there was something that could not have been done in the open. And so if you look at the test of the open, which we used as our qualifier, and our Sanctional, it was kind of a cool, add-on to that,
I really liked watching the chipper in terms of like how you're saying like testing certain levels of fitness, because like on the way down, everyone is like watching the girls do it, for instance, like on the way down, everyone's together. And then you saw like where Tia opened up that gap and just slowly started leaving more.
Away.
And it was just such a true test of, and obviously we tested the workout. So you're like, okay, this is where it gets dark. Let's see what happens. And exactly that,
It's dark from those burpee box overs.
It starts dark.
Everybody could go that way,
Yeah.
but turning around and coming back this way was the test.
Was a test for sure.
It was funny even hearing the people in the gym that, because it was programmed in the gym this week, talk about it. I was just talking to someone about it today, and they were like, man, I scaled the what out of it, and it just put me in a hole. So that was a good one.
I did it
You
in the gym, but I didn't do muscle ups. And
burpee pull-ups?
Did burpee pull-ups, but I've done those so much that that was a break for me down there. So coming back, I was like...
Yeah, the bar muscle-ups were kind of I wouldn't say a break, but they weren't terrible. It was the GHDs on either end of the muscle-ups suck, and then that bike really, I think, is the worst part. The burpee box get-overs at the end suck too, but at the beginning, you just got to kind of... You almost got baited into, like, at the beginning, you got to kind of stay.
Yes.
I mean, Dan was like 2 or 3 reps ahead of all of us, and even Scott was starting to like go fast, and I'm like in my head, I'm like, oh, I got to keep up, and then I'm like, hold on, this is not the workout.
We're not there yet.
It happened to me in Texas, not happening again. So yeah, it's just like you got to figure out, hey, look at the workout and be like, this is not where the workout's won or lost.
I jumped in on the class, and the young lady who's coaching, I apologize, I don't know what her name is, but she was trying to get everybody in the beginning to slow down. Yeah. She was telling, please don't go so fast. Please slow down.
Take it easy because it adds up quick.
27 minutes later, people are headed back the other direction,
That was a fun one. People should try that.
The ruck was awesome.
The ruck was cool.
Really
I was
cool.
happy with it. It was stressful, logistically, what was how it was going to turn out, if anybody was going to get hurt or anything like that or lost. I mean, I don't think there's any chance of them getting lost after this. I guess it was on Monday. We took down all the marking tape, or Tuesday, and there was tape on every single freaking tree from the bottom of that mountain to the top. Like, it was insane how much tape we used. And so that's kind of the joke. I said that was my only critical observation from the weekend was how much tape we used.
Didn't Josh paint some rock the whole
I
rock?
never saw the rock when we were walking it.
Well, you didn't because it got washed off because it's it's in a basically a spring bed, which is probably not good because now that water's in the water system. But yeah, Josh tried to spray paint a rock because it was slick.
I
and
saw
like,
some
come
sort
on,
of
man.
a painted rock somewhere.
Yeah, I was just looking for the world's greatest boulder in neon orange, and I never.
The best part about Josh is he's super detail-oriented.
Oh, yeah.
And he thinks things through, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, because that doesn't always necessarily happen around here.
No, it's good to have somebody on that side of things. But
Him
then
and Dad,
to paint the whole rock's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it was just and it's in a creek bed, so it's and it's the water's not always running there. It's the spring kind of goes underground, but if it's a runoff area.
Yeah.
And so he spray painted it, and then the next week it was completely gone. So somebody's probably drinking that.
We were hanging out on your driveway. Mm-hmm. So, they were coming up, kind of up that first stretch of the mountain and then coming across your driveway. And there's a big kind of muddy spot there. Yeah. So there was lots of slipping and sliding and trying to stay on your feet.
Though.
I know. I have a good video of Ben Smith doing the splits.
Yeah.
He's the only one that went straight into because they say go along the fence and everyone else still kind of went through the grass. He goes straight to the mud spot and goes, whoop!
He did that real athletic balance thing, though.
Yeah.
You slide and
He
you put your
nailed it.
hands out and you're like, I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Slapped her and was like, I'm the only one that ran through the mud. I was like, I know.
Yeah, it was, the weather was good. If we would have, we went back out on Tuesday and cleaned it up. And, we had a pretty nasty weather event come through on Saturday. And, man, it was a way different trail. It was slick. It was muddy.
I wish it stayed there year round. That's such a cool trail from, like, your house up.
Yeah, I mean, we could. It's just a lot of those trails they're permanent trails.
What are they from? How did those get there?
Either old logging trails or like people that own the property created the trails for either hunting or getting stuff through and around and to. And some of those trails are probably really old.
I was amazed.
Some of them start out as just like game trails. So if you walk through the woods every once in a while, you'll notice like a super skinny trail, and it's the deer usually stay in kind of they kind of skirt the side of the mountain back and forth instead of going straight up. And so if you just kind of watch, you can kind of see game trails is what we call them.
Just wondering where those trails were when we did the Tosh exercise. I don't remember seeing anything like that.
Because they were dark. It was dark out.
I can't even believe we made it up to the top now after doing it in daylight. Like,
were you on the winning team or losing team?
Obviously, you won because you
The
grew
lost
up
team, sorry.
The lost team.
Let's talk about why Rich shouldn't win that.
The lost kids.
Gosh. We almost died.
Well, then you guys cheated.
We didn't cheat.
Yeah, they did.
That wasn't our fault. Dan was excited, and he shouldn't have done that.
Dan
he
cheated.
sprints to the top, and then
No,
gets him fired up.
No, Dan he's in charge of his team. He has his team follow our team up, and at the last minute sprints to the barn.
That's not okay.
Yeah,
And then Rich was
cheating.
so fired
I was
up.
beyond
Then it was
pissed at that point, and then I was like, "You're not following us
It's
down."
almost like you were gonna kind of let us follow you, so we didn't die, and then it was like, absolutely not.
Nope,
They're gonna die now.
If you're gonna cheat,
That was not cheating.
cheating. And we got punished for it because we got second.
Right.
And so then I was real.
I'm surprised you guys just hung in there and didn't say, hey, you know what?
There was times where I was like,
we're
this
done
is
with
stupid.
this deal.
And then Rich left us with Dan, who fed a horse a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich.
No, Dan tried to feed a horse a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich.
Right? Like what?
You cross
That's
over this
our leader
fence, and
now.
there's these horses, and they're like, I don't know if they're friendly, if they're just come up to you or whatever, and Dan freaks out, and he's
They're
got this
investigative.
Tosh gave us 2 or 3 Chick-fil-A chicken
No, we were
sandwiches to
supposed
share
to
as a
survive
team.
off of.
And Dan
He
takes
gave
it
to the
and
horse.
throws it like the horse is going to chase after a Chick-fil-A sandwich. It was the most bizarre.
So we lost our sustenance, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
The
Wow.
horse still followed us.
Of course.
And then Rich turned the lights off, and his team ran off into the darkness, and we were lost forever.
Yeah, we went no lights on the way down.
It's a great story.
It was fun.
The best part about the Sanctional was just how, like, if you were a spectator, you saw it all, and it was right there in front of you.
Yeah, it was super intimate, small. Everybody
was cool.
There were people that were upset with how expensive the tickets were, but we're like, we're only got 200 people in here. Like we don't have room for
fire marshal.
More than that. So we wanted to make it a ticket that was worth coming, and it was super intimate. And I feel like the vendors did a great job of like having some activation type stuff. Like there was
lots to do.
And
it was right there.
Yeah, it was right there.
The
You weren't
vendors
far.
were right by the
it was cool. I thought it was great.
stage too, which was cool.
It's crazy the way that gym transformed into like
It was so awesome.
an event venue. At first you're like, I don't know how this is going to work. And then you walk in after they got the floor out and they put all those banners up, and then they, covered up all the insulation that, forget what
even the curtains.
what was their name? I'm going to look that up because to give them a shout out. Those
Yeah.
murals were,
They were
they're a
incredible.
little creepy because they're all me, but what's it
But it's
called?
crazy too, because even when you first said Sanctional, we've all been to like different ones, but like going to Iceland was like, they have like jumbotrons, and it's this huge thing, and each one is such a different feel.
Yeah.
But honestly, I like that it's the idea of there's no bad seat anywhere. Like you literally are so close to watching. To me, that's better than having these ginormous stands where you're not as much in the action. Like here, it's like you are in the action. And in the seat that you were in.
we talked about doing it maybe at Hyder Burks where we've had mustard seat a couple times, but I think this is kind of the draw.
I think it was way better.
Yeah, it's
here.
like you're everything's close. People are right on top of everybody, and I mean, so you get to come to CrossFit Mayhem, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The VIP area was super cool too.
So
It
nice.
felt like it was a whole different place from the gym, which is cool.
Tiff knocked that out of the park.
Holy
That was all
smoke.
Tiff. Like,
That
I mean,
was
it looked.
incredible.
You walked in, and you're like, this isn't a gym, you know. And then they had food
Yeah,
all day
yeah.
for everybody. It was.
That table with cheese on it was
Oh my
legitimate. I don't know what,
was
but there
filled
was
with
every
cheese
kind
the
of
entire
cheese,
time.
Oh my gosh.
grapes.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
was awesome.
amazing.
Burgers.
You know what's
It was
cool,
incredible.
Too,
Yeah.
up there was that I'd say like a large percentage of the people in there were from Train with Rich.
Yeah,
They were
yeah,
really
there
cool.
was
I'm
quite
like,
a few.
I'm like, oh hey, what's going on? You know?
Volunteers came from everywhere.
Everywhere.
Judges came from
Everywhere.
everywhere. I didn't know any who those people were. you
Yeah, it's
know?
cool. I mean, now that you kind of like have done this sanctional kind of rotation now, you see all these faces and you're like, oh, I remember you. I remember
Yeah.
you. You judged us
Yeah.
here. You judged us there. So it's kind of, it's insane. Like, these people just take the time and
Yeah.
money out of their own
So
schedule. It's
cool.
like their
It's
vacation. You're
amazing.
just like, man, so that's incredible. We
They
could
really
not
do. They
you could
travel
not
a
do the
lot.
sport without judges.
Good judges
and
too,
good
like
judges. Yeah, like the experience is
that
there.
spend
You know,
their
they're
own. There should be an organization for them that just
That's a
like.
yeah.
I mean,
giant
it would be
thank you
worth
to those people.
Sanctional paying
Somehow,
for the
yeah,
judges
like a service of
to-
however many. Yeah.
Right.
because they're so good.
Josh was telling me that he didn't realize that was a close-knit community inside
yeah.
CrossFit. Like, they had their own little after party at
Oh,
somebody's Airbnb,
Really?
and they were
Yeah.
like, they're connected to each other
Yeah.
and talk to each other and have text groups. And
All the
I talked to
banners
someone
were
after, too.
as Mycroft signs. They're based out of Tennessee, up East Tennessee.
Did you guys find them or did they reach out?
So one of the guys, Steve, who works for the NASCAR tracks, Steve Swift, he's an engineer for Bruton Smith and the whole Smith family. They own like quite a few tracks in NASCAR, but they own Bristol Motor Speedway. And he hooked us up. He's a CrossFitter, owns a gym up in East Tennessee in Bristol. Great guy. And he was like, I've got a guy that he's a CrossFitter fan. He does all the banners for the racetrack when they wrap the racetrack, and he's like, "Let me hook you up with him." And the guy did them for free.
oh wow,
Incredible. So
they
I mean,
turned out
it
amazing. They
makes
do
the
look
gym
really
look
good.
great. Like
It looks totally different
It
now.
looked great before that, but
yeah,
with the insulation being covered,
Yeah.
it looks way
Yeah.
more.
super unique.
I mean, you can't
Now
help
it's just
like
creepy, like I said, but it's kind of cool to just have some old pictures of like kind of history of
Yeah.
CrossFit Games stuff. So
that was all individual kind of stuff, wasn't it?
yeah, there's a
Back-
couple team in there. I think
Yeah.
there's one I saw from this year, but yeah, a lot of individual stuff. That's kind of what talking to the people that were in charge were like, let's do some kind of history type stuff. So
couple of guys that work out up at the barn.
Craig.
Greg's in one of those pictures behind you.
Oh yeah,
one of your
yeah,
he's one of
creeping
your
in the background. Yep.
Yeah, and I guess Jake was telling me they were doing security, and we were looking up at the
Yeah.
picture, and Jake was like, "Hey, man, like I'm right behind Senior's head,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Bro,
It's a similar picture to this. 'cause
Okay,
there's
yeah,
Greg's
yeah.
right there. So Jake is somewhere. Yeah.
he's somewhere behind there."
he keeps
Yeah.
getting blocked.
Yeah.
That picture
And there's
must.
Tyler. You
Oh,
see
oh
Tyler?
my
up-
gosh, that's
With
Tyler?
his beard. Yeah.
Oh,
with
wow.
sunglasses. Yeah. There's
Wow.
Tyler.
So you were sitting down next to Hillary in the picture out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So that must have been after this.
Yeah.
maybe.
Right after that. Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
Jake's like, I'm like, bro, what you need to do is get a picture of your head
And just tape it up there.
and tape it up there. It's one afternoon. Nobody will notice.
Just hammer it out.
Put it right up there.
Good to go.
Fix it.
There you go.
Oh, poor Jake. That's awesome.
That's actually a great idea.
I would do it.
I mean, oh,
Let's
show
do it. Our
them.
faces aren't up there.
I know. When are we gonna go up there?
That was like that. So that was cool. Having it be really close and intimate was really
Yeah.
amazing.
It was.
The vendor thing was really cool because in most competitions I've been to, the vendors are a long ways off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So-
they don't
off in
really
the
get that much
distance.
access. Yeah, for sure.
That
So
way,
you
while
don't-
you're shopping too, you can watch
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
go back and forth.
the access.
Just
We're,
the vendors being so close where they could
like,
really.
actually.
Oh yeah, you didn't miss
being
much
able to
action
hang
if
out
you were
with
going
them.
to hang out at the vendor space,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool.
Wonder how athletes felt. I talked to a couple of guys, and I don't remember their names, but they felt like taken care of.
Yeah, that was it's what I wanted to make sure of. When we started planning was like,
You outfitted them with apparel and stuff
Wow.
too,
Yeah,
right?
Reebok
Which
did a
is
great
cool.
job
That
with
was
that.
Totally
That was
kitted
cool. And as an athlete, I hate being jerked around and like, hey, you got to be here at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
and then you're here till 9 p.m. and then like, there's no point in that. The only one thing that I do want to change from next year's, and I didn't catch it till the last day, was they were having, and this is no fault, like nobody's fault, but they were having athletes check in every morning at 8 or 8:30, and it was like, what you should do is look at what your heat time is, and everybody check in an hour and a half before would be better than making everybody, somebody doesn't go till 11 o'clock. Why check in at 8 a.m.?
Yeah.
So that's the only thing, because from an athlete's perspective, it's, if you're doing a bunch of these, like that's why people come to watch, is to watch the athletes. And if you're doing a bunch of these, it wears you down. It's a long weekend where, we were trying to, you want it to be a good test. We kind of use the regional model of like maybe 2 or 3 events a day, having them out of here by 5 or 6 every day, other than on Friday, obviously, but you still need that endurance type event. I had people complaining about how, online I was reading, somebody complained like, what's a real spectator-friendly event to watch? And you're like, would you rather me do? We have to test that portion of it. Would you rather have me have them run on an assault runner for 4 hours with a ruck, like,
terrible.
like however many miles with a ruck on a, like, come on, just
no.
It's not gonna be fun to watch either.
Yeah.
So we tried to, and we didn't
It was a
really
real test. It was good.
Well, I mean, and then we say it's the 10th, 11th, 12th, or whatever it was, and we felt bad because when we sold the tickets, it says 2-day ticket, but the event says 10th, 11th, and 12th. And so we tried to do that Good Dudes event on Friday night and still have the VIP open. And
that was a fun way to start, too.
Yeah, give them something to do on Friday night. So, we'll probably follow along that type of model next year. I've got some ideas on maybe an endurance type event we could do.
So it will be annual.
Yeah, it's for sure next year. We signed a 2-year deal with CrossFit on it being a Sanctional, so...
Having the Good Dudes thing was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Part of me is kind of like, I wish we wouldn't have done the workouts that everybody was doing, just because I didn't want to take away from the athletes. It's because everybody still wants to compare and do all that stuff.
Right.
Where we should have done like some old events from regionals or games or something like that, head to head. Which maybe next year we'll go on that instead of having us do the same events. But
do something Dan crushed or something that
Josh crushed,
or whatever,
That'd be
and have
cool.
everybody
That's
do
a
it.
good idea.
It was really fun though, because a lot of times at CrossFit competitions, in between events,
it's dead.
It's dead.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to look forward to seeing you guys come out.
See a high level competition.
Cool. Haley jumped in there.
Haley crushed it. All the girls crushed it. Yeah, it was good.
Tasia jumped in there. That was fun.
Yeah.
You want to go home?
Dan and Josh moving again is good.
Yeah. They're semi-recovered.
Yeah.
They're getting there. They're on the mend. And
but they had personal victories within each, and I thought that was kind of cool, like...
Josh didn't, up until the time we walked out on the floor, we didn't know if Josh or Dan were going to be able to do that last one, the squat clean one. So it was good. It was fun. Dan didn't think he could snatch the 120. Dan was supposed to do the second workout on Saturday. He decided if he wanted to do the workout on Sunday, he shouldn't do the second workout on Saturday. It was it was fun. We were training in the barn in the mornings, and they'd come out and be like, yeah, we're going to do something. No, we're not going to do anything. Or they might do something a little bit lighter, and depending on the event that day. And so it was fun. It was good.
They were cracking me up. I probably shouldn't tell on them, but they were doing a workout while you guys were doing team stuff.
Yeah.
And it was 10 rounds of something.
Oh, yeah. It was the double under.
Rope climb.
And Josh is with his elbow. Like, he's pretty recent out of elbow stuff. And it's like, what are you doing?
They got to 6 rounds. And Josh was like, okay, 6 rounds.
Done.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Done. Yeah, so it's good. They're coming back and trying to be smart about that stuff. And Josh is only a couple months out of the elbow thing.
Yeah.
So.
Oh gosh, you could tell in his bar muscle ups. Him and Dan, between his elbow and
Dan's GHDs.
His shoulder, they both were doing bar muscle ups literally with one arm. Like they would chicken wing up and then throw the other one up, and I'm like, do we have to do that right now?
Yeah. So.
But they got through it, so whatever. Props to them.
What happened with rain in the tent or something?
So hold on a second.
Trice is trying to do some recovery over there.
I think it was in the athlete's tent.
Yeah, something about it got flooded,
area.
but I don't know what actually happened.
Yeah,
what
it was like really wet, I guess.
It just got wet, right, Rich? Anything crazy?
So we poured this pad on the south side of the building.
It's nice.
Get it right, because Dad gets mad if you don't say north, south, east, or west. The south side of the building. Get it right. And we kind of created an athlete village back there. We put a tent up so athletes had, because we thought it being in January, we thought, hey, it could be cold, so we had some heaters and stuff out there.
It could have been really cold.
65 degrees.
Amazing.
We've had snow.
The plan is eventually to put an awning kind of off the back and leave it kind of open air back there. But it's not there yet. It's just a pad. And so what happened was the rain was coming off the back of the building and coming up underneath the tent. So everything flooded in the athlete area. So people's bags and stuff got wet, which we feel awful for. But it's one of those things you don't really think about, you know?
It's hard to know.
Yeah, it's tough. But, like I said, we learned, and hopefully by next year we'll have that awning up. And who knows, we might be able to even use that as another, event space next year.
That'd be cool.
It'd be kind of cool to have that option. Yeah, so it's a learning process, growing process, and it was fun. Like I said, there was no major hiccups from the outside. There were some back of house type things that we could. Dad is now like obsessed with mapping what power to every outlet.
A whole grid.
Created a monster.
Yeah, seriously. So there's that, and but like I said, we couldn't. I don't think could have had it, go any better. So it was fun. It was a good weekend. Learned some things, good things to take away. I feel like the athletes had fun. I feel like spectators had fun. Judges and everybody did an incredible job. And 2021, we're not really set on the date yet because this year we were kind of in a Wadapalooza slot. They moved Wadapalooza this year for some reason, and so. I'm not sure where we're going to be, and then we're trying to figure out where. I think we're going to do some type of online qualifier for next year. We threw around the idea of the gym that has the most participants gets their whole gym. Whoever signs up gets a Train with Rich weekend.
Oh, that'd be
it'd
cool.
Cool.
That's
so,
an awesome idea.
Just to get some people, and we want to have a way to have everybody involved.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of fun. And now Trice has bubble wrap.
That is awesome.
Is
he knows just what to do with
it.
Well done, Trice. Well, so that's a wrap on the 2020 Sanctional.
Gritting his teeth. Yeah, no, it was fun. It was a great time, like I said, and nothing major happened, so it was good.
I had multiple people around town, like stopping at the coffee shop or whatever, just like, what is going on?
Yeah, why are all these people
Why are all these people wearing that CrossFit stuff? What are they doing? Where are they from?
That's Cookville. Nobody knows. Nobody knows about CrossFit.
It's awesome.
It was impressive to have it right after the holiday, too, after all of those weeks, getting ready for the new year.
Right.
But speaking of, we didn't really do a New Year's episode because we kind of missed it. We were kind of busy with the Sanctional,
There's a lot going on.
I know you just love the talk of planning.
Resolution, is that what you're going for?
No, I wasn't going to ask about resolutions, but just last year in review, this year upcoming, anything.
I just love that it's 2020, 2020.
I do too.
Usually I make a mistake and write down.
I've already done it. Still 2019 a couple times. Yeah.
Rightfully so.
That was like one of my. Okay, I'm not ever going to screw this up this year. I'm going to say 2020 every time, and I think I've done it 4 or 5 times.
2020 or 2020?
2020.
2020.
Oh.
That rolls off the tongue better.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to one of my favorite monks, and his comment was, "What do you do when things don't go as planned in 2020?"
Can you explain one of your favorite monks,
Jay
please?
Shetty. He's just a popular.
He's an actual monk.
No, so he was a monk.
Can monks be popular?
That was the thing. So he was a monk,
Solid
and
question.
then
So he's not a monk.
not anymore. He's like retired.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time.
So let's. Is a monk the same thing? I know what a monk sorta is, but is he actually a priest or is he a pastor?
What religion, what faith? What?
I don't have any idea.
So he's not really your favorite monk. If you don't know anything about his previous past or his...
oh my gosh, yes. Well, here's the thing. So in summary...
What makes a monk?
He went to be a monk. He lived in India as a monk where you meditate how many hours a day?
Do you know?
To be a monk, you have to give up all of your belongings, I think.
And he
I
wore
don't
the
know very
robe
much about it.
And meditated.
You can only eat 2 meals. You can't eat after noon, I don't think. You can't, you have to accept food from, beg for food from people, I think.
Okay.
And they have areas
Of course you would know that.
Can you eat monk fruit?
I think
sorry,
that's
dad
what the diet
jokes.
consists of, strictly.
Oh.
It must be.
Jay Shetty is an Indian-British internet personality and motivational speaker. He has appeared on Ellen DeGeneres' show and Today's Show. He stated his stated goal is to make wisdom go viral as he spreads his message of motivation and positivity.
I bet you
Because he was
Jay
a monk.
Shetty's a millionaire now. That's what I'm going to
how
bet.
long was he a monk
He was
for,
a
Elly?
Vedic monk.
Oh, yeah, Vedic. He talks about the
Vedas are a large body of religious texts originating in ancient India, composed of Vedic Sanskrit. The texts constitute the oldest layer of Sanskrit literature and the oldest scriptures of Hinduism. So he's Hindu.
Okay.
Hindus consider the Vedas as, I don't know, which means not of a man, superhuman, and impersonal, authorless.
Well, so his background
How long
was
he a monk for? Do you know?
I think it was a couple years. His parents wanted him to be a doctor or a lawyer, and he just didn't feel like that was the path for him. So then he kind of just went the total opposite way.
Wikipedia doesn't tell.
Went to be a monk, and then I guess while he was there, it came to him. I'm learning all of these things. How do I reach the largest population? So he decided to come back. And I think he was like doing some videos like for the Wall Street Journal or something like that, but just more and more of his mission and what he was talking about was going viral because it's like a lot of it's really, really great advice. Like it's just, oh man, I can't remember the quote now.
So maybe you should go to jshetty.me because it tells my story. If you really like this guy this much, you should actually like learn about him.
Did I not just tell you his history? And I'm part of his Genius Club. I listen to him talk once a month.
He has a Genius Club.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it.
But so like his last thing, which here's something. So this is something he shared in the Genius group or whatever recently, and I thought it was super valuable. Was when you were all in.
Got a lot of ads on his website. I don't like that. A lot of pop-up stuff.
Well, I mean, you have to pay for your business somehow.
After meeting a monk when he was 18, Jay started redefining success for himself. He now wanted a life of service, impact, and passion as opposed to money, fame, and power. After graduating with first-class BSc On's degree in behavioral science from Cass Business School, inspired to make a difference in the world. At 22, he went to live as a monk across India and Europe. He traded his suits for robes, shaved his head, and lived out of his gym locker for 3 years.
Okay, so
he was a monk for 3 years.
So the whole reason for this,
Jay meditated for 4 to 8 hours a day and experimented with various no water and food fasts to train his mind, often participating meditation in extreme environments, hot and cold. He learned ancient practices of breath and mind control. Mind control or brain control. He studied the timeless philosophy. That was a shout out to Dinner for Schmucks. He studied the timeless philosophies and sciences of the East in great depth, focusing on seeing connections in the messages in the modern world. Okay.
So here's an applicable sentence from last time. He said, when you're all in on your own strengths, you appreciate others' strengths, and it also limits your envy and jealousy. So how often are you looking at other people? So when you're all in on your own strengths, and I mean, in my mind, it's like, to me, that's like if you're cultivating your own strengths and you're confident in
working on yourself.
Yes. You can appreciate seeing that in others' strengths.
Okay.
And it limits jealousy and envy. Because I think there's part of you that's maybe not feeling complete if you're feeling lots of envy and jealousy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Valuable. Simple.
I like it.
Anyway, so he just went to this dinner recently and they had a rule. No small talk. So, like, you weren't allowed. It was, like, just all these, like...
A dream come true.
Yeah, all these leaders meeting up. And the rule was...
it's warm outside today.
Yeah, let's talk about the weather. No small talk.
What do you do for a living? Small talk.
You're stressing me out just even hearing that.
You do small talk all the time.
But here's my thing. Small talk, and I say this to people who are like, I don't like small talk, so I don't talk to people.
As opposed to large talk?
Right? It's a gateway. You have to have. Sometimes it's a
gateway talk.
Yes, but so.
Can you imagine actually
instead of a gateway drug?
It's
actually another dad joke.
That's what I was thinking actually when I said gateway. But so.
So what if no small talk was allowed? That would be really interesting.
Here, take the card. This is what they did. So this is from Irrational Labs, and they all got cards.
But can you imagine if every room we walked into, we weren't allowed to sort of break the ice, get to know somebody?
Yeah, I would die.
Like the first thing we talk about is something really important.
It would be hard.
I don't like awkwardness.
My wife's leaving me.
Oh, that was one of the questions. Is what do you find most awkward?
I don't like awkwardness, and so I always try to, like, if you meet somebody.
Okay, look at your card.
And like you always start off with, "Hey, where are you from? What's your name?" Like you have to do that, or else people just stare at you.
Of course.
Yeah. Like when I meet people, I'm just like,
you can't just
okay,
go and look at someone and be like, "Hey, what's your life story?"
Who do you argue with most?
He's like,
not doing that.
Not saying.
I'm out.
What is your guilty pleasure? What triggers you to indulge? Guilty pleasure. I have one guilty pleasure. I go and buy a chocolate bar.
Where?
And I don't ever tell Kristin.
Throw some of these out.
Like I go to Kroger and
Is there a certain
buy
brand?
sea salt. I can't remember the name it's called. Yeah, it's the same thing I always get. It's one that has mostly cocoa in it.
Yeah.
Is it like Godiva or something like that?
It's not Godiva, but it's similar to that. And what triggers me to indulge, I just haven't had sugar in like 2 weeks, and I'm like, dang it.
What do you value most in friendship? Loyalty.
Cam?
What annoys you most about people?
Oh, how did she get that card?
I'm not answering that.
Come on.
You don't have to say person. You say people.
You don't know who the most
Come
annoying
on.
person
There's
on the
too
planet
many to
is.
count.
Just name one, like small talk.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big one for you.
Yeah.
You don't like small talk?
No.
No, like
I just don't say any. I just hide in a corner.
that's the way I used to be, and now you have to.
Yeah,
You
I
do
know.
have to.
It's important for some people. Like I get this. I get what we're doing here. But small talk, as far as relationship building and connecting with people,
You have to do it.
it's important. It's
like
an
a
important
stepping
part of
stone.
a process.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually like I heard someone, I don't even remember where I heard this, they say back in the they says, but it was talking about like people in relationship advice about if you meet somebody, and I think this applies to like any kind of relationship, and they immediately like latch on to you or this, that, and the other, there's something inside of you that's uneasy, and it's uneasy because how can you trust someone that doesn't actually know you but is clinging to you in that way? It's the same in a relationship. Someone wants to date you and they've known you for one day. You're like, you don't actually know me, so you're not trustworthy because relationships take cultivation. So
Right.
to get to those places, you have to small talk. You can't just like go up to someone and be like,
If you were trying to date somebody and you didn't start small,
yeah.
Someone's
hey man,
gonna
like
yeah.
I want to
get
marry
married
you.
tomorrow.
How many
Someone's gonna
kids
get
do you
out.
want?
Yeah.
Whoa, you know.
Pump the
Yeah.
brakes.
Yeah.
Mine says complete the following sentence. My life would be perfect if I could just. That's silly. That's a silly question because there is no perfect life if I could just.
Yeah.
You know what one of these was, and I asked everyone this question this weekend, and they were all freaking out. That's what we were talking about at Red Silo. And everyone like, you either know it or you're like, I have no idea. So finish the sentence. If you really know me, you know that.
Oh, this is when
I
we
asked this
walked
to
in.
everyone,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
What?
Finish the sentence. If you really know me, you know that. Because people who really know you would know what about you.
Oh. I really care.
Mhm.
I'm trying
That's
hard. I really care.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always come across because sometimes I don't know how to express my emotions right or I look too stoic or whatever.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
I thought about mine. I suck at saying no, and I have a geographic tongue.
But, oh,
Very few people know that.
didn't need to know that.
Yeah,
Geographic
but you
tongue.
know me.
I didn't know that.
So there. Sometimes it's like Florida. Sometimes it's like Alaska. It is what it is.
Right.
Okay, someone pick a card.
You
Alrighty.
should do one,
I
Elly.
read both
Oh.
of mine.
Well, I just finished the if you really know me one.
Oh. What's one habit you want to start? One habit you want to stop? Stop being addicted to social media. Start. I don't know.
It's not good when you work for our social media.
I mean, my own personal one. Yeah. Because I'm on the other ones.
How would your parents describe you?
Oh, that's a good
Oh, I don't know
one.
that one.
Oh man.
How would your parents describe you?
Janice
My mom.
or Big Rich.
Yeah, my mom would probably say I hung the moon. My dad would say he doesn't answer his effing phone. And Dad, I'm gonna get a text about this when Dad watches it.
It's accurate. How would your parents describe you? That's a good one, I feel like.
I don't know. They
too.
see through rose-tinted glasses because they're your parents,
Yeah.
I feel like.
That's why I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like usually it's like kind of positive answers, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Silver?
Yeah, I'm Jimmy. Go get him.
Go
Yeah.
get them.
Keep
'em.
going.
Get 'em,
You're doing
Jim.
good.
My mom would say you could do anything. You put
Yeah.
your mind to, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I don't know. My dad doesn't. He's quieter. I don't know what he would say.
Right.
Yeah.
When in your life have you been the happiest?
Ooh.
When it's the simplest.
Oh, that's fair. That's a good answer. Happiest, wow.
Like if I could literally, and I can't do what you guys can do, obviously, when it comes to fitness, but if I could just work out every day,
Yeah.
that'd be cool. Like, and not have any responsibilities really. Just get up, eat right, work out,
Yeah.
do something with your family.
Yep.
That'd be cool.
I think mine right now. You know, kids are a good age. They're fun. Training. Feel pretty good for the most part, other than minor, depends on the knee. Feels good every day, but other than that, I'd say right now, for me.
Yeah.
What's one thing you'd never tell your parents? That's no one's gonna
Too
answer
many.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially my mom. I feel bad.
Yeah.
Dad, whatever. He probably knows.
Describe the last time you were embarrassed. That's a good one.
Regularly.
Wow.
Ooh, like really?
Last time.
Truly embarrassed?
I was walking. Kristin and I were walking around the block the other night with the dog, and my stomach was nauseous, and I farted.
Nice.
Really loud, and we don't really do that.
Yeah.
Like that's not our thing in our house. And I'm just, and it totally caught me off guard. I just like,
That sucks.
you just kind of took a step, and all of a sudden you're just, wow.
Oh, the walking fart's even worse.
Crop dust.
We keep all that really.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear
private,
that
yeah.
from her.
Yeah,
She doesn't.
yeah. Oh, no. I
And she-
can't. We have like our own toilet closet in our bedroom, or bathroom. And Hillary, like, I can hear her peeing, and if I walk in the door, it stops. And she's like, go away. It's the craziest thing.
Yeah, and she looked over at me and was like, so we're doing that now? And I'm like, I swear to God, that was an accident. It really was. I didn't even know. It just snuck up on me, and I was pretty embarrassed, actually. There you go.
Oh, that's funny.
Kristin?
I feel like I get embarrassed, like overly embarrassed about little things that like don't matter.
Right.
Like stupid, like I mess up like I don't know. Something little in something I'm supposed to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't think of something. I'm trying to remember.
Just worry too much about some
Like
of that.
I'll just get like just over. I don't know.
Oh, I've got one from this weekend. Freaking Darren. So it's happened a couple times. I like to address people by their name,
And
so
you
I
didn't
try
know their
to
name.
learn. A lot of times I walk in and I'm a little overconfident.
Dylan.
Yeah.
They told, so I
No.
politely, I didn't remember what he said, but I wanted to be able to cheer him on,
And
so
so
I
you
went.
asked Adam.
So I said, no, first I think I asked you. And she told me Dylan, and I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
thought it was either Dylan or Arnie. So then
Arnie? Dylan?
Well, I think I-
That's the name,
I think
Arnie.
I came back to you after
I've never met an
someone had
Arnie.
just told
Oh,
you
okay.
his name was different.
Oh, no, that's okay. Yeah. So then
Because I was
went
like,
to
I don't know,
Adam.
do some intel
No,
and find out.
to Darren, and I said, it was either Adam or Darren, and I said, oh my gosh, what's his name? I just totally forgot. And they're like, Arnie. So sure enough. And then she tells me it's Dylan, and I was like, but it came from the family that it's Arnie, so I'm going to call
But
him
it comes
Arnie.
from my family,
Well, I didn't think it
who's
through.
a bunch of liars.
But here's the tell was the next day. No, because of course no one had told me. And
So you went with Arnie?
I've been chanting "Go Arnie" for 2 hours that day.
Oh, no.
And so
No
the next
trust in
morning,
me. No
I
trust.
walk in and I look up. He's ginormous, and I go, "Hey Arnie, how's your morning
no.
going?" And he stopped and looked at me, and his eyes got real big, and I was like, "Wow, maybe people just don't ask him how he is." And then he goes, "Good," and I was like, I'm just gonna keep going. So,
Oh, that sucks.
but I was like, wow, I guess I don't know.
Dylan.
Yeah, so
That's pretty
sure
funny.
enough. Nah, I'm calling him Arnie. He has like a size 15 foot.
Oh,
Darren
wow.
introduced him as his security guard.
That's
It was
really funny. Oh, I
So,
know who
yeah.
you're talking about now. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was actually really embarrassed 2 days later at the Sanctional when they're like, hey, by the way, his name's Dylan. I was like, I can't believe I did that.
It's a good story. It's a good story.
I called Dre's Macy Madison for an entire regional weekend and
Yeah,
no
you
one
did.
corrected me.
Nope.
In a room full of my teammates, they just let me go, Madison, I've heard so much about you.
That's
We had-
awesome.
You know, I knew it was an M name.
Yep. We all just let it happen.
Yep, babe.
Train wreck.
Even she did. Oh my gosh, it was hilarious. But we still laugh about it, so it's fine. Totally worth it. Yeah, that's my embarrassing moment.
What is a belief you had when you were younger that you no longer have? Santa Claus?
That's a good one.
Monster
know.
under the stairs in the
Ooh,
basement.
yeah.
You like run up really fast.
Running
Yeah.
start,
In
yep.
case, yeah.
Smoke Evelyn, my imaginary friend.
Smoke Evelyn. That's hilarious.
She's a real person. Wasn't imaginary, that was true.
That I was never going to get old.
Really?
Yeah.
When did
I
you
mean,
stop believing
I don't know.
that?
You know, when you're on that side of it, you're like, God, life's going so slow. You know, like
Yeah.
I can't wait to grow up. And now I'm like, whoa, pump the brakes.
Time
I'll be
slow
dead
down.
before too long.
No, you won't.
Aren't these kind of small talk anyway?
I mean, they
Yeah.
are,
Aren't
but
these all small talk? Like, I'm reading these cards and I'm like,
Yeah.
That's small talk.
Well, you haven't opened the spicy pack. I've got the spicy pack over there, but I didn't think you guys were ready. You want the
I don't
spice
feel like
pack?
we should bring out the spicy pack.
Okay,
Well, wait,
How about this one, though?
What
This is
level
good.
of cards do you have? Because there are different levels on them.
Twos.
How have your beliefs about life after death changed over time? That's not small talk.
Life after death?
Level 2, life after death.
Oh, yeah, so you're supposed to pick, like, level 1 to do
I got
people
like,
first and
what's
then
the
move to level
strangest
2.
thing about where you grew up? That's small talk.
Yeah, that's not.
You have your own island to get to. You have your
yeah.
own island and get to make the first law. What will it be?
You have
Like, those
level
are-
1. These
No,
are
I
level
mean,
2.
these
Those
are
are
level
all
3.
pretty
Like,
lame.
when did you last hurt someone emotionally? What were the circumstances?
Every day. I
What?
squash everybody's emotions every day.
Wow. He's like,
He's not wrong.
you're like Godzilla.
Smash people's spirits. I don't know.
What'd you say this weekend?
Oh, so what was I saying to Tasia? Yeah.
People come here to
Yeah.
have their souls die or something.
Yeah, we're here to crush people's spirits, not build them up.
Oh, that's what it was.
Oh. Yeah, no, these are like,
Yeah, and
way
Tasia
more.
was like, yeah, they said they'd tear me down and then build me up during competition. They still haven't
She's
built
like,
me
I'm so
back
waiting for
up.
them to build me up.
Yeah. I said, when you decide to retire, maybe that last year we'll
Yeah,
build
like,
you back up.
Let me know when you're about to
Yeah.
be
Yeah, you
done,
gotta
and
give me
then
a
we'll
heads
start
up.
building you
Yeah.
back up.
give us a heads
Try to
up.
fix her on the way out.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So she's okay for the rest of her life.
These ones. What are you most self-conscious about?
I hate that bald spot in the back of my head.
Well, I hate the crooked teeth on the bottom of my bottom
Yeah.
teeth are crooked.
My ears stick out.
I have little ears too.
Oh, that doesn't count.
Are you kidding? My entire life, I walked around. Every time my brother passed me, he'd go, beep,
That's
beep,
your brother.
beep, beep.
Your
Doesn't
brother's
matter.
supposed to do that.
It's not a lie. They're little and they stick out. That's why I wear earrings.
In my mind, little ears are better than really big ears that stick out.
Sorry, anybody who has big ears.
I'm just saying for me.
My brother always said that I don't know how anyone can love you with your feet because I have like really big feet and my big toes
Did
a
he
little
ever say
crooked.
anything nice to you?
No,
Jeez.
he also calls me man hands.
So, there's a theme going here.
Yeah.
Wow.
What are your irrational fears?
Ooh,
Have they prevented you from doing things?
Rich is being buried alive,
Yeah.
so now he's being cremated.
I
Apparently.
heard him
Public
talking.
speaking used to be one.
Oh, well, that's not anymore.
Oh, he did good with
You're
that.
a pro.
I heard him talking about, I don't know where it was at, a low budget seclusion kind of a be by yourself for a while and think kind of. They bury you in a box and give you
Oh,
a straw.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
I'm out.
And it's
No.
not very deep. And then it's like something they do in, I don't know, India or someplace, like for the poor people instead of the.
Yeah, that sounds
It's
terrible.
like, what? That's I don't know if that's irrational.
Share something about yourself that you wouldn't mention on a first date.
Oh, so many things.
Ooh, this next one's kind of funny.
That you wouldn't mention on a first date.
Something.
I don't know. I eat the same thing every day, basically. I don't know.
Yeah.
That would seem
It's
boring.
not. I don't
No?
think that's. Seems
I don't really
athletic.
know.
Something on a first date that you wouldn't mention.
Exercise way too much.
Yeah.
I'm not nice if I don't exercise.
No, that's good. Because
I mean,
that's
it's
good.
true.
Yeah, because that's something they should know, but not being on a first date.
Yeah.
Like, trying to think about something that's weird about me that I wouldn't want to tell somebody right away.
Yeah. I don't know. You told us, didn't you tell us that you buy the same kind of like paper towels or something?
Same kind of toilet
Or
paper.
all of us that we like
Toilet paper.
that we like the napkins at Poets because
Yeah.
they're fancy.
Yeah.
that we take an extra one and put it in the
For
car.
the car.
I definitely have a stack of those in the car.
What a
That would
first
be
world
kinda weird.
problem! Like when I leave this coffee shop, I take an extra napkin.
Every time I leave, I have an extra
Or
napkin.
two, if I'm feeling real crazy.
Yeah,
That's really good.
You didn't know this about us, Rich, but every time we leave Poets, they have really fancy napkins, so we all take an extra one and put it in the car.
You guys.
I thought I was the only one doing that too.
They're so nice. I got a stash. Anytime there's like anything in the car that drips or
hold
spills,
on,
I'm like,
let me get this.
Miss Environmental.
It's recyclable.
Just trashing the environment.
It's totally recyclable.
You said you don't recycle Kleenex or paper towel or napkins. You are the person that said that. Okay, so
he recycles boogers, but doesn't recycle plastic. Yeah, go wipe your boogers on a turtle. You could be saving one.
Nope.
I'm not so sure that anybody wipes boogers on a turtle. I don't know that we can draw that analogy.
But he
same.
recycles paper towels that have boogers on.
What about this? Here's a good question. If you could do away with one societal norm, which would it be?
Social.
That's a pretty good question.
Say social media now is kind of a norm. That's
Societal norm.
Remember when selfies were like frowned upon? Like there'd be that one friend that's like
they still are.
I get
individual selfies are still frowned upon.
I totally get that.
Have you seen the new Apple commercials now where they're
the slow-mo
selfie? It's like
but now I'm saying that to us it still is, but to the generation below us, it's not even a question.
Societal norm.
I'll never forget the time that Lakeland grabbed a rock from the yard and came up to me and said, "Let's take a picture," and she held it up and we took a selfie with a rock.
Yeah.
Because to that generation, they don't. It's not.
Selfie's a little bit different if you have multiple people in it. I feel like if you don't have somebody else to take a picture,
right,
it's completely different.
That's fair.
Whereas if you're just like taking selfies of yourself,
yeah, fair enough.
It's weird.
What other societal norm? What's something that we do that we should change or that we do away with?
I think.
What?
I think nutrition is complicated because people eat certain things because everyone eats them and they don't understand their implications.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's a good one, Elly.
Yeah, like the whole food pyramid thing is not the deal anymore.
Oh, that's not even a social norm. That's just
that's
ridiculous.
I know, but that's what people think is. If you talk to someone that doesn't study nutrition and isn't into exercise, they have no idea, honestly, and that terrifies me.
The whole handshake thing, I don't think I'd do away with it, but it's just interesting how different it is in our country compared to other places where it's not really what you do, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know how that got started. Why do we do that?
I don't know. It's I'm interested to look it up.
Small talk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What personality trait do you have that annoys a friend or coworker? I don't know. Should we ask the friend or coworker?
Oh.
Should we ask each other? No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's ask
this
each other.
This just doesn't end well.
Okay.
And we're not friends anymore.
Oh, we couldn't take it.
Who could take it? What personality trait do you have that annoys? I talk too much sometimes. Nailed it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got that one right.
I overthink things.
Okay.
I'm like too blunt sometimes, I think.
I've got too many.
Okay. What risks or opportunities do you regret not taking? I don't know. Gary Vee always talks about how he was asked to be an investor for Uber. They asked him for a $50,000 check twice, which isn't a large sum of money for him, and it would have made him $500 million. And he said no.
I would have played. Had an offer to go play baseball when I was a sophomore in college, and I wished now that I wouldn't have finished playing football and I would have went and done that.
Yeah,
that'd have been cool. That'd have been.
Yeah, maybe finished playing baseball a little bit would have been good, but probably wouldn't be where I'm at. You can't really.
No, I mean, what are you gonna do? It's just you look back and go, oh, I wonder.
What do you regret not taking? There's a couple, but again, it goes back to the change in trajectory.
I don't really think about that too much at all. It is what it is.
Yeah. When was the last time you cried? Why?
Facundo asked everybody this question the other day, actually.
I feel like he memorized these questions.
When Hillary's uncle passed away, it's probably the last time I cried. Yeah, I'm not much of a crier. Hillary gets so mad at me because I don't cry.
Cried for sad reasons or cried?
Whatever.
Cried.
Doesn't say.
I don't understand crying for happy. I've never.
Yeah, tears of joy are.
I don't have that emotion, I don't think.
Yeah.
Like, I feel broken sometimes. Because, like, Hillary is angry anytime our wedding comes up because I didn't cry when she walked down the aisle. Like, I did get a little, choked up, but no tears. And apparently you have to cry. So, I don't know.
I don't really cry for sad very much, but I do get emotional for when I see powerful things, like positive things that move me or where people overcome something. Or
Yeah.
I can watch a video where they're showing something like that and then really start to get
I feel
choked
like
up.
that's a
when
different
Kids always get
category.
me. Yeah. Like when their parents come home from like
Yeah.
overseas,
Can't
those
even-
and like
Good
surprise
example.
videos,
Yeah.
you're just like, wow.
Yeah,
Now having kids, that gets me.
That's the kind of thing that
I don't
will
cry.
me.
I still don't cry though, but I feel that emotion.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just I'm
Right.
just disconnect. I guess those waterworks are disconnected.
What about you?
Last week,
Yeah, probably.
In the car on the way here?
Yeah. No. Actually, I was in the car. But I think it was away from.
Just going home.
Yes.
do you cry, Kristin?
I think the last time I like cried was around my birthday at some point. I don't know. We were like training a lot, and I was just like,
I remember.
She does the ref it. Like if she's got to cry, she's gone.
I remember that actually. Tasia like followed you, and I was like, "Oh God, something's wrong." Like,
yeah.
like I expected out of
Yeah.
I don't
Elly,
feel
I
like
expected
I
out of
am.
Tasia, I expected out of China, but never Kristin. And I was like, "Okay, something's wrong. What's going on?" Like, I don't know what to do, and I'm awful when they start crying. I'm just like, I'm gonna go away.
I'm usually not, but it must just be like sometimes the volume of training and stuff. Like I can tell, like
You can't even
I
hold
just
it in
feel-
because you're exhausted.
I don't know what it is, but like I usually am not.
It's just
very
a limit
emotional.
of emotion.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
about your hormones and all that stuff. You're just like,
I saw the
I
other
can't
day.
do another workout. I'm like, why am I like this?
Why?
Sorry, Jim.
It's okay. Most men that I've been around, when they get hurt, you don't see them cry. You see pain. You see.
I forget. It was middle school or high school. I had when I guess was probably the last time I ever cried for pain was before that. But I remember him saying, "Why cry for pain? Does it make it feel any better?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Huh." Yeah. He's like, for emotions, whatever. He's like, but for pain, why do you? And that was the last time I was like, oh, all
Yeah,
right.
that's good.
I
get mad when I get hurt. I get angry.
Yeah.
that's what it wells up in me too. Like,
Yeah, like frustration, anger.
I was
Yeah,
watching
for sure.
a playoff game, football game, and a guy got hurt, and he was crying.
But it was emotion more than it was pain, though.
Probably,
If I had to
and he's
guess.
being taken off the field
Playoffs
and
or whatever. Yeah.
But that's the first time I've ever seen that.
Yeah.
On TV, where
Yeah.
there was
A grown man
a
crying.
grown man linebacker guy
Yeah.
crying, and it was for sure.
Was that Kuechly? Did he have a concussion?
No,
because
I
I
don't
remember
who
seeing
the
that.
dude was.
Luke Kuechly, and he just retired, I think, because of all of his concussions. Plays for the Panthers linebacker.
Yeah,
But I think it was because of the concussion. Like he
Right.
was just like gone. It was
overwhelmed.
crazy.
Same
yeah.
thing you're talking about, Kristin. Just more emotion.
Yeah,
Just
it's-
overload of the emotion.
Yeah,
in the
like
moment.
I'm not sad about it. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just angry and tired, I guess. And then, I don't
Yeah,
know.
for pain, it's like does nothing.
Mhm.
You know, like what's the point in crying?
True.
Did you find another one?
What is something you believe that most people don't?
I believe in Thor, the god of thunder.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think I believe in anything that most people don't believe in.
I mean, you're looking. Christianity's getting down to where it's like, a lot less believe in that stuff. So
Yeah.
It is really true. They Bishop Barron, he's like
especially overseas.
he travels around and he said like the issue now is atheism and like how do you affect change in a population that's raised that way, and that's like his mission. And it's really fascinating to listen to him speak in the areas of that he comes from to discuss it. And they talk about Christianity as a hero's journey and relate to people that way. And I thought that was a cool gateway and just really insightful, because people are so intimidated by where to start, how to learn, like how do you address someone and start that conversation without it being like an argument,
Yeah.
which I thought was really interesting.
I heard a really popular podcast the other day with 4 or 5 guys having a conversation, and one guy brought up faith. And these are not faith dudes. And it was cool.
Really?
Because for 25 minutes, the one guy says to the one dude, if you bring up Jesus, I'm going to throw something at you. And then the guy's like, hold on a second, man. The older I get, there's some truth in the Bible.
Yep.
Yeah, but there's some BS in the Bible. Yeah. And they had this really cool conversation about values and the value of faith and what it has to say. So I think there are people in crazy places that we wouldn't normally expect having that conversation now, which is really cool. Sometimes I think maybe some of the organized religion is struggling a little more.
For sure.
But there are people who are really trying to sort it out.
Yeah.
What it means to them.
Yeah. And with social media, they'll be able to get out there more, I think.
Yeah.
If a crystal ball could tell you the truth about yourself, your life, the future, or anything else, what would you want to know?
That's kind of scary.
I don't know if knowing anymore would be any better for...
It's like, have you seen that movie preview about the app that tells you when you're going to die?
No.
Ah, what?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds horrifying.
Yeah, it's like an app people down. It's totally cheesy, stupid movie, but then you start thinking about if you knew the time when you were going to die, it's like, I don't think I'd want to know, you know?
Yeah,
right?
I started to think about that the other day. Like, so I could do some simple math in my head.
Right, yeah.
Based on what my parents and relatives and average lifespan, how many more days you got left? Yeah. And I was like, I'm not thinking about that.
Yeah, I'm out.
Right.
Please don't.
I'm out.
I mean, that's some people do that. They write that down and then they.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not motivated that way.
Yeah.
To work hard, I suppose. If you could erase one past experience, what would it be? These are hard.
Oh wow, I got so many of those. Jeez. Holy smokes. I got so many.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Holy smokes. There's lots
a
of things
pass.
I shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
I told you guys about climbing Long's Peak. That one jumps right out.
Ooh.
Without.
Because it was dangerous.
We went up the cable route without being clipped in.
Free solo.
Free solo. Silver's free solo.
Me and the youth pastor. We're gonna. There's a route that you hike. The backside. It's 14,000 foot. You know, takes all day to get up there. We decided to go up this route that's the cable route, and there's a cable with big eyelets that have been put in the mountain. So if you have climbing gear, you can clip in and you're fine. You're not going to die.
Yeah.
Well, we're athletes. We can do this. And it was cool all the way till there was this face, 500 feet of this face prior to summiting. And this is the youth pastor of the church. He's only 24 years old. I'm like 18. And he says, oh, I hear him. And then he starts praying.
Oh, geez.
And there's no way to go back this way, and this way is the diamond face of Long's Peak, which is 8,000 feet down. And he's like, just take your shoes off, put your shoes. I literally shimmied, shaking in this crack.
Oh my God.
Little crevices, hoping not to fall, and got to the top of that thing and just shaking on my knees, thanking God. I've never
How'd you guys
gone.
get down?
We hiked down the normal way like everybody else. But if I could go back and do that, I've never climbed a rock.
Yeah.
Done any of that ever since then.
Oh my God.
I'd way not do that again. Shout out to Pastor Tom. You're a stud.
Ooh. I don't know. Do you guys have any? Yeah. I don't know. Death defying sounds pretty good, Silver. Good call. If you could make one consequence-free decision, what would it be?
Oh.
That's hard, too.
Consequence free. I don't know. We should share that.
Probably not safe on the podcast.
Okay. We're going to pass that one. If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be?
Oh, jeez. I'm not going to get started there either.
It doesn't have to be like...
It's another one of those that, like, where would you be, though? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
it's what made you who you are. I wish I knew, like, as a parent... You know, like if I could see into the future on like what the kids, like what I did that affected them the most or what, you know, negatively or positively affected them would be pretty awesome.
Insightful.
You know, like instead of, I don't really care about my upbringing, but I do care about their future. You know, and I don't want to say, hey, it would change anything, but I mean, if I know something that's going to affect them in a positive way and I can do that, then let's do that. Or if something's going to affect them negatively. That would be cool because parenting's
That's really
hard.
good.
Yeah.
Parenting's hard.
Cool.
It's not easy.
That's really good.
That's like, so Cam and I actually had kind of a conversation similar to that the other day about, we're talking about like Christmas or something like that.
This is a good question too that you asked.
And it was, we were saying like, we're looking back of like, because we all talked that one day about what you remember about Christmas. And like you go through this entire life and your parents worked so hard every Christmas. And I'm like, I could maybe remember like one thing I got one Christmas, whatever. Yet, you know, how many memories do you have from that time until now, like detailed memories, yet everything you do is so important and impactful to the human being that your kids become or that your parents had with you, yet our memories are so limited in detail to what actually happened. It's just crazy to consider how much all that means, but what does it mean from like what's important and what's not. It kind of just goes along with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because it's so much time and it creates who you are.
Yeah, what's going to have the most impact on
Yeah, but you can't put your finger on, you know.
It's crazy.
It's been cool to like, because my kids are growing up. I mean, you're at that stage where you're
head down,
just every day you're sorting it out, and to hear them talk a little bit now about what that was. And some of it's good and some of it's not.
Yep.
And I really did my best.
Yeah.
I really did.
Yeah.
I tried the hardest in some things.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. Some of that stuff you literally just, it's a day-to-day thing, man. You're just sorting it out.
Yeah.
I was at dinner with a young couple who has a 3-year-old son, and I asked a question the other day, and the lady, I loved her answer. She literally just looked at me, and I said something like, is he going to do chores at some point? And she looked over at me and she goes, man, I just don't know. I'm just sorting it out.
Yeah.
We're just like, we're just trying to figure this out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, right on. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, that was the other question that we talked about was like, at what point in your life did you realize your parents were human beings and not your parents? Because I feel like for the longest time you have like this relationship and pedestal of your parents. Like they're not
real people.
They are parents. And like at what point in your life did it happen when you're like, oh my gosh, they're humans and they're capable of mistakes and thoughts and everything that you don't ever think that they're capable of. They 100% are, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's crazy to think like, I feel like that happened really late in life for me. And then finally I was like, you gotta be kidding me. You know?
Right.
Like last week for you?
No, it was way long before that. But
How old are you?
still,
37, 38? What? Oh, sorry.
35, right?
What are we?
You're going to be 36?
You're not talking about my
I was just trying to figure
here.
out when that was with your parents and all that. Now, you know what? Like, it's cool now because I know we've had this conversation. It's so cool to watch your kids grow up. Mm-hmm. It ends up being so much better than anything that you've ever done.
Yep.
You know?
For sure.
And I really enjoy being around kids now that where I'm at because it's fun to
see,
know.
Yeah. Been there.
Well, it's just fun to see. I kind of know what that's gonna, what the potential is there.
Right.
You know.
Right. Kids are awesome.
The funny question that we talked about though is what things did you do as a kid that you thought were normal, like every other household did?
Oh, yeah.
And then you went to like someone else's
gosh.
house and you're like, that's not how it works. Like, I think my dad made us go to bed, like be in bed like at 8 p.m.
Right.
And then I went to someone else's house and that wasn't a thing. And I was like, what? I've been shit this whole time.
You gotta be kidding me.
Granted, he had to wake up
I don't
super
know.
early. So
Yeah.
My parents were pretty chill. They weren't super strict, other than like chores and stuff. Like going to other people's houses and you could actually sit inside on a sunny day and play video games. I was like, wait a minute.
right.
That's for sure. It was work.
And there was
no
there was no chores really to do. It was just like they would let you go do anything and the other kids didn't have to do anything. And you're just like, it's just so bizarre.
Yeah.
So
For sure it was work. We worked. We had to work. There was a garden or something we were doing or going with Dad to the job site or something, and everybody else was like running around the neighborhood.
Having fun.
Playing basketball, doing whatever. Yeah.
No, I mean, I got to be a kid a lot, but there was always something to do.
I don't regret any of it now.
No, heck
I mean,
no.
I learned
At
so
the time,
much.
I hated it.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a wrap.
Episode 81. RP Strength. Check out the app. Doing some updates. He was just saying you can add Chick-fil-A to it soon.
Ooh.
So I'm in on that.
Game changer.
Trifecta. Inside Tracker.
Yep.
And Mayhem Mindset. Open enrollment.
Yeah.
Going on.
Sign up. Get in it.
Check out CrossFitMayhem.com. FroningFarms.com. We got some meat sticks coming out soon.
Ooh, they're good too.
Jalapeno.
The jalapeno bison bites are
They're
delicious.
really like
Had
that
those
into the storm
jalapeno
chips.
Scrambled eggs.
Oh yeah, that's
Cut
a
'em
good
up.
idea.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Did you try that?
I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Why
It
don't
was
you try
really
that?
good.
Do some different recipes with them, but yeah, they're delicious. They're a great
Yeah.
snack. Great to have. So awesome. Peace.